During this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about matter and energy flow and how both of these things flow throughout both living and non-living organisms. So, some things that you're going to learn. You're going to be able to explain the difference between matter and energy. You're going to be able to explain what a food web, which is an example right here, and a food chain are, and you're also going to be able to read them and explain what they mean. You're going to be able to describe how matter and energy are transferred in an ecosystem. So it's important to remember that all living things are made of matter. Matter can be in different shapes and forms, like gas, liquid, and solid. All matter. You also need to understand that all living things need energy. An example of energy is sunlight. This lightning, that's an example of energy. Matter can be recycled and used over and over again, but energy cannot be recycled. It's simply converted from one form to another. An example of how energy is converted is photosynthesis. Producers convert this light energy from the sun into chemical energy in sugar molecules. That's how they make their food. Some of these sugar molecules are broken down into energy using the process of cellular respiration, which is what we've talked about for quite a while. Energy, like I said, can be converted from one form to another, but it can also be transferred from one organism to another. So, since consumers cannot make their own food like producers, like plants, they have to get their energy by eating producers and other consumers. And to be able to use that energy, their bodies have to perform cellular respiration. So, for example, in this food chain, you can see that the predator, the shark, gets its energy from the small fish. The fish eats the fish larva, which is how it gets its energy, which eats the zooplankton, and the zooplankton eats the plankton. So they're all getting their energy from these different animals. And that's how the energy is being transferred through organisms. Food chains are a way of showing how matter and energy pass from one organism to another. So in this food chain, it looks kind of strange because the leaf is pointing to the caterpillar, but that just means that the caterpillar is eating the leaf. The chameleon eats the caterpillar, the snake eats the chameleon, and the mongoose eats the snake. So that's how food chains work. So you have a few questions that you need to answer. So you might want to pause the video and answer those on this food chain. And when you're done answering them, you can move on to the next one. Here's the second food chain. So go ahead and pause the video and answer the questions based off of these two food chains. Food webs are a little bit more complicated than food chains. They have a lot more arrows, as you can see from this example of the food web. But what a food web is, it's a model that shows all the possible feeding relationships among the organisms in a community. So this is an oceanic community, and you can see how the blue whale here eats the krill. Okay, that's the only thing it eats, and nothing eats it in this ecosystem. You can see that the penguin eats the squid, but the penguin is eaten by the killer whale and the leopard seal. The killer whale also not only eats the penguin, but it eats the elephant seal and the leopard seal. So these are the animals that it hunts and eats. So the phytoplankton is also eaten by multiple organisms. It's eaten by the zooplankton and the krill. So the krill eats the phytoplankton, zooplankton eats the phytoplankton. So you can kind of see how this food web works. So go ahead and answer the questions about this food web, and then you can move on to the next one. So this last food web is a little different. It's on land, and you can see that your top predators are at the top here, and the lion eats the giraffe, and the giraffe and the rhino both eat the plant, this tree here. And you can kind of see the different relationships among all of these other organisms. When you're finished answering the questions on this food web, go ahead and write down the two things that you kind of learned from this video and any questions that you have. And also, to make sure that you listen to this whole video, I want you to mark a star next to your name at the top of your paper. So where you wrote your name on the first page, write a star and you will get a point for doing that. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and we will talk more about this tomorrow.